Problem 7-30. Make a graph of Team 2's data from problem 7-25. So Team 2's data is right here, and I am going to show you how to do it by hand on paper, but there's another option for you. So first of all, we're supposed to graph this, and then we're going to draw a straight line that models the trend of this graph. Okay, so that is the line of best fit. And it does say, remember, the line doesn't need to intersect each of the points. And then you're supposed to use your line of best fit to predict the height of the plant when the seed is planted at 14 centimeters deep. And the last question is, what is the Y-intercept? So interpret the Y-intercept in this situation. Okay, so there are two ways you can do this, by hand, which I'll be showing you, or you can also go into the E tool, which is right here. And in the E tool, the data is down below here, and you can use this data and plug it in right here. And then there is a line of best fit that will be sitting there that you can use to create that line of best fit. And then you can take a screenshot of this. All right, you still have to answer the questions, the other questions on paper, but you can do the graph on here. All right, but now I'm going to show you how you would do this if you were doing it by hand on paper. So first of all, we have to make a graph. So the graph that I've set up for you here has the depth of seed in the pot, which is this information right here, as the independent variable, because that's the variable we're going to control. We can't control how high the plant grows. So that's our dependent variable. The depth of the seed in the pot, I've put that in increments of 3. So each one of these squares is going to be 3 for the depth of the pot, and that would be in centimeters. So I'm going to write that down. All right, on our y-axis, I've made the marks worth, so that each square is worth 2. And this is the height of the plant, and the height of the plant is also in centimeters. All right, so once you've set up the graph the way that I have here, with the labels and the marking off the numbers here by 3 and by 2, then we can get ready to graph. Okay, so if you haven't done that, go ahead and set up your graph. You can stop this video, but if you've finished setting up your graph, let's go ahead and start plotting the data. So the first data point that we have over here is 3 and 24. So when the depth of the seed is 3, so that's x, then the height of the plant is going to be way up here on 24. So that's our first point. The next one is if we plant the seed at 6 centimeters, it's going to grow to 21. So we'll go up here, and that's halfway between 20 and 22. Then if the seed is at 9 centimeters, it'll be 18 on the y-axis. And if the seed is at 12, it will grow to a height of 12. If we plant it at a depth of 15, it will grow to a height of 6. And if we plant it at 18 centimeters deep, it's going to not grow at all. Okay, all right, so now we can draw our line of best fit. So that's A. And the line doesn't have to connect to all the points. So we're just going to kind of look and see where where does the line sort of fit? And my ruler's a little bit see-through, so that helps. And it kind of goes right about there. So I'm going to draw my line right about there. And notice that I'm going through the y-axis when I draw my line. And that's because we had that question about the y-intercept later. So it's handy to have gone that far. Okay, so let's, now that we've drawn our line, we can put A over here on the side. And I'm just going to say C graph, because that's where my line of best fit is. Okay, so then we have to start answering these questions. So I'm going to move my paper over a little bit here. All right. So use your line of best fit to predict the height of the plant when the seed is planted at 14 centimeters. Okay, so 14 centimeters would be, oh, that should be a 16. Okay, so 14 centimeters is in between those two. So if it's at 14 centimeters, then it's right about there. It's going to grow to a height of 8. Okay, so let's write that down. At 14 centimeters depth, the height will be, what was that again? So 14 going up to about 8. So let's go back to our paper, 8 centimeters. Okay, so now let's look at C. What is the y-intercept? Interpret the y-intercept in this situation. Okay, so it looks like our y-intercept here is 28. So yours may be slightly different, as this information may be slightly different too when you do your graph, and that's okay. Okay, so what is the y-intercept? Okay, it's 28 centimeters high. So what does that mean? Okay, so in this situation, that would mean if we didn't plant it at any depth of all, if it were sitting on top of the ground, then potentially it would grow the highest. So do we know that that's true? Not really, because we haven't experimented with it. But potentially, if we just put the seed on top of the ground, it may grow to 28 centimeters high. So if we put the seed on top of the ground or the soil, it may grow to 28 centimeters. Okay, but that's just a speculation. We're not really sure whether that happens or not.